for Stars. And speaking of a player who keeps getting the wins, Surrender is going to be coming up now, going up against SamuelTsao. Looking forward to this one because SamuelTsao actually showed us some nice play, I think, honestly, yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
And I feel like he impressed me a lot more than I've seen this GM, just to see how he did yesterday with that Zoo, and he's going to be playing it against Surrender's Hunter as well, which means that we're going to see how this one shakes out.
Yes, yeah, sorry, just trying to figure out the picks and bans. I think I might have slightly misunderstood there. Either way, yeah, the Hunter here is a matchup against the Zoo. Like, the more I've seen the Zoo against different decks, I feel like I've got a better opinion of how they go. Like, Zoo against Quest Charm, and I'm thinking, like, probably I'd put my money on the Quest Charm just about at this point. The Zoo versus the Hunter here, I feel like that's one that I'm still just kind of split down the middle on. There's a lot of really good power cards that obviously you can find in the Hunter, whether or not you know they exist in the card pool, like, of course, the Sacrificial Pact, which can be very good against all the demons knocking about. But on average, it's just the case of powerful swing turns on the side of Hunter versus consistent powerful cards that are reasonable but not incredibly strong from the Zoo.
Yeah, that's it. It definitely feels like the opening is super important for when these two decks clash, because I'm agree with you. I'm split down the middle, but honestly, because that's that's what I think of the actual matchup. I'm not split down because I don't know which one to pick. I think it's that close. I think it's like if I queue either of these decks against the other one, I'm always like, well, let's see how it goes, because you just think it's just a very fair fight, so to speak. Zoo definitely has some power builds, and speaking of the builds, SamuelTsao is running the aggro version, as we saw him help out with the Leroy and that Soulfires the other day, which means he can maybe just sneak some burst damage through.
Yeah, it could be pretty important. We saw it working out well, of course, against the Warrior this morning, being a pretty nice way there to get the extra damage through to go for the lethal. Or was that yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Yes, sorry, yeah, yesterday. It's all blurring into one here again. The room that time forgot here.
Yeah, there's going to be Priest, Druid, and Hunter for Surrender overall. Pretty solid lineup in general. I've seen Surrender again. He's playing the Nomi list, which I've harped on about enough. I'm not a huge fan of, but it is still Druid, and if played well, which I think Surrender has shown us time and time again that he can play this deck very well, means that all three of his builds I think is pretty confident. And again, we just see more and more Hunter from these players, which goes on top of Staz saying, well, maybe the other regions aren't really favouring Hunter too much, but it's good versus decks you need to win against in this tournament. Look at this. It's like, if he thinks it's decent versus Zoo, it's good versus Druid, and it's good versus Priest.
Yeah.
It's half the lineups you're going to face. Yeah. So it seems like a good pick to me.
Yeah, and I think it's another one of those instances where both players can be right, where you've got Staz on the one hand, clearly in agreement with Surrender and SamuelTsao saying that Highlander Hunter is good, and then you've got players in a lot of the other regions saying it's bad right now. In Asia-Pacific, it's pretty good. There's a lot of Priests and there's a lot of Druids knocking about. In the other regions, there's even more Priests, way less Druids, though. We're seeing a lot of players axe that from their lineup, and most players here in Asia-Pacific are still going with that Druid. So for these players who are trying to, as Staz was saying, they're trying to go for a forked attack against both Priest and Druid. I think it's a good bring.
Yeah, and looking at so far, that this opening is interesting for both players, actually. Solarium probably not going to be held on to for SamuelTsao. But Surrender, even if you just get rid of that Zul'jin, that isn't a terrible opening. Because one of my issues, is throwing it all. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier.
I was just thinking
exactly.
that. Yeah.
For me, I think Secret on 2 that reliably does not get proc, so you can get the Mass Contender on 3 and go, you whiff turn 1 though. Decent. Surrender's like, no. Decent is not good enough for me. Right. Surrender. I want good, strong openings. So he's going to mulligan it all, and that just emphasizes exactly my problem with being bad at Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, I think for him it's pretty clearly this card is not Secret Keeper and it's not Zephyrus. Get it out of here. Arguably like Bow as well, I guess you could say. Maybe it's good enough in the early game. Spring Pour as well. There's a lot of good early cards, and I think it's reasonable to look for the power swing cards, as I've talked about, because if both cards just do reasonably powerful things, I think the Zoo pulls ahead a lot of the time.
Oh, speaking of pulling ahead, going to mulligan into Zephyrus. There's the backstab, which you might think, where's the Sacrificial Pact?
Yeah.
Does it matter? I guess it kind of matters, doesn't it?
Style points.
Well, it matters in the weird way that you can't kill the Voidwalker if you wanted to, right?
And I was also going to say Zul'jin, it matters.
True,
in which case,
true.
Sack Pact is a lot better
That's
for
true.
Zul'jin.
Whoa.
So Zephyrus,
What a noob!
you're not that smart, are you?
We're gonna order an IQ boost again for Zephyrus.
We want it to be able to see cards in your deck, read the text on them, and then make high-level strategic plays based
Just get
upon
good,
that.
basically.
Also, it's just cooler. Why would you backstab when you can sacrificial pact?
But also, there's a small point where like it actually legitimately does not kill the Voidwalker.
Yeah, it was
So,
more
like,
flexible.
yeah.
It was just better.
You wouldn't necessarily want to kill the Voidwalker
Yeah.
in this instance, but still.
Maybe that is actually a reasoning to say that that is something that Zephyrus could be addressed on, right? Because it was just better to get the sacrificial... Oh no, unless you don't want to use it there. It's not strictly better because you may want to not use it at all, and therefore Backstab is a better card in general. And so Zephyrus says,
Untrue.
I'll give you a slightly better card on average.
I think Zephyrus is not that smart to think slightly better on average card, right?
Well, I think it has ideas of what cards are good and what cards are bad. There's certain cards it never ever offers you because they're bad.
Right, but what Zephyrus has done in that instance is said the Sacrificial Pact heals you for 0.
Right.
You're on full health, so you
And
don't
so
need
he
to
says
heal.
Backstab is a
Yeah,
better
so you don't
card.
need to heal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I more saw it as the effect of the card does nothing. Like, the effect is to restore health.
Yes.
You're on full health.
Maybe
It
that's
does
the way
nothing,
Zephyrus
right?
sees it.
Yeah. I think so. Because if it took any damage, I'm pretty sure it would offer him setback.
Yeah, I think
Like, you know,
one
so,
health.
which is literally the difference maker for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that is...
Either
Desert
way.
Spear is a sick weapon, guys. Run it in any hunter you play. It's so good.
This is again one of the cards that the player in predictions that I respect the most is often Jambray. I think he's got a really good head for card predictions, and he was just singing praises of Desert Spear. He thought it was going to be the card of the expansion.
Yeah, I'd honestly liken Jambray a much, I think, and unrightfully so, lesser known name throughout across, the world scene especially. But I'd put him close to Chaki in terms of just mindset for the game. Into like, I'd like to see Jambray on the development team at some point or testing team because he can look at a set of
I see what you
cards
mean.
and go,
I see what you mean.
this combo will happen. This deck will be
yeah.
good, and you can do this with that. I look at cards and be like, ooh, 4 mana 4/5. That's a Yeti. Like so the fact that he can just see things quickly in terms of how cards will interact without even getting to play with them is very impressive to me. And he puts out a lot of YouTube content at the moment, so make sure you watch that. It's actually pretty good.
He does. I recently got a half-price September sub to him on Twitch as well for a single emote. Not really worth
What's
it,
the
but
emote?
Jambray W, of
Oh,
course.
it's just the entry-level rank 1 emote.
Exactly.
Yeah, this freezing trap is going to be so annoying.
Yeah, very, very big here for Surrender. Which is, of course, the reason to go for it with a very mana-inefficient turn. It didn't damage him.
Shouldn't it?
It didn't attack, though, I guess. Like, it froze before the attack completed.
Hey!
If you attack against Snake Trap, against Freeze, and it procs the snakes.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Blizzard? Where's the Blizzard phone?
Yeah.
Let me get someone on the line.
Is it because of what was played first? Does that make any difference? Probably not in that instance, right?
Don't think so.
Yeah, no. How does it work in terms of draws? Like, if you attack, like you were saying, if you attack for lethal on your opponent and you're at 3 health, is it a draw? Are they simultaneous?
It's a draw, yeah.
So is it when the damage is done to you as well?
I guess,
Yeah,
but
that seems
but that's not what the card says.
Yeah.
An attack was made. It's like the whole misdirection freezing trap, right? Depending on ordering, like it still procs it. If I was Surrender, I'd be like, I want my 3 damage. What's going on?
Yeah.
So there's the level 1 play here of just subject 9, draw stuff. And he actually won't overdraw him because he's had 2 secrets now. So I think he has room in his hand, right?
Yes, I think so. I think because he's got 6 maximum, which means 4. Yeah.
So subject 9's nice, and I think I like that play most of all. One thing that is good to know is if you play... I've been playing Desert Spear in Sir Valgulis. Is that his name, I think? I think that's how you say it. He made the mid-range hunter list that's like really good versus Priest.
Yeah.
And getting Desert Spear equipped actually is nice because it's not as good in this deck with as few synergies it has. But like next turn, there's nothing SamuelTsao can do whether Surrender procs over Houndmaster or not.
Yeah.
He can just do it. He just attacks, gets a 1/1, makes it Houndmaster. Now it's a 3-3 with Rush. It's so good.
It's one of the things that I think is still underrated a lot in Hearthstone, which is banking your mana.
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
spending it a turn early. It's one of the reasons why Skull was so good, right? Because you just spend the mana the turn before, and then you can do the broken combos because you have free mana next turn.
It's like Surrender just gets to generate a beast with Rush on demand.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's ridiculous. Like, obviously less so in this exact version of the deck, but in mid-range, it's stupid. Like, when you play Timberwolves and Hyenas, it's like, oh,
Yeah, it's
so
nuts.
good. But here now for SamuelTsao. He's already got a lot he can do. He's got to be a little bit worried about the secret.
Almost out of time.
You can obviously start working through them very quickly. Like this is Snipe, he can then attack him, which tests for snakes, of course, as well.
Yeah, the only frustrating thing is, like, if he attacks in, oh, it's a bit late. Okay. The only issue there is if he attacks in and procs snakes.
That's bad.
Well, is he just behind?
Bad,
Like, can he just be like, oh, I'll test for snakes, it's fine? Well, it wouldn't be fine.
Which is, I think, what he spent most of the term thinking was, do I just not attack and then destroy it? Do I not attack and then pass? It all sounds not great.
So now he can kill the carpet if he wants. Surrender has that choice.
That is true, yeah. He's got a couple of ways he can do it, actually. Oh, no, not quite.
Has he?
Yeah, yeah, sorry, I was overvaluing Ziliax and Springpool.
I think it's more likely he leaves the carpet up this turn, though. I think landing a Houndmaster Springpaw turn is actually pretty good.
Wait, can he kill it? Houndmaster Springpool, he can't, right? It's one off.
How? Houndmaster Springpaw. That's 3, 4.
And then 1/1. It's
Wait,
6.
what? For the swing of the weapon, right? Hang on, am I just going crazy?
I think so. It's a Springpool, which if you buff it up is 3. Then
Another
Lynx,
spring-
which is 1. And then 1 from the weapon and 1 from the...
I think I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
Why did I think that was 7? What's going on? Did I count the Springpaw as a 1/1 and then a 3/3 as the Houndmaster?
Very
maybe?
possibly.
Yeah, that might have been where I got the extra 1 from. Whatever.
Whatever.
Don't care.
Yeah. And, you know, obviously for Surrender, I think if he could have killed off the carpet, he absolutely would have done that turn. It's priority number 1 against all Zoo decks that run it. Which is an interesting talking point in its own right, given that most Zoo decks do not run it anymore. With arguably good reason. Ooh. Okay.
Carpet's been buffed.
Does SamuelTsao ever play the Nephicet Thrasher because it's the most expensive card that doesn't, and it doesn't proc Rat Trap, of course, then?
I wouldn't dislike it, because now he's just stuck himself in Rat Trap territory, right?
With double Kobold Lackey, maybe he can afford to play into it, though.
But
Well, it's a lot of
so he
damage
has
he'll
to
be
do
taking if he
a
does.
Sinister Strike.
Oh. He knew it was Rat Trap then at that point as well, because he's already tested for pressure play, so he has to be able to deal with it right now very, very
But
quickly.
you can't deal with that and the 5/5, right? Oh, this was a mess.
This looked like it
He
may
missed.
have been a mess.
Oh.
Okay.
If he gets this, he's a god. Right.
Missed attacks again.
Did he? Oh, he missed the 2/1, right?
Yeah, the carpet,
Yeah,
the
the
rushing
carpet.
in. Like, yeah. Oh no, the carpet did attack, sorry.
Yeah, the 2/1 didn't attack, right? Or did it?
Yeah, I think there was one missed attack.
Well,
Which is not the end of the world, I suppose, but again.
could have been tighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look at this now. And again, just it doesn't look like a lot, but just that how much did that weapon do? Insane work.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So Surrender takes game number 1 and currently on a 4-3 record, as you can see there, versus the 3-4 of SamuelTsao. Surrender wins this 5-3. It's actually a very solid record, especially in his group when it's so close together. It's literally Chonsu, everyone else,
Yeah.
blood trail at the bottom, right? And that's it. So in the everyone else pile, every extra win you can get is one that's going to shunt you into top 4. But that was just game number 1. Surrender taking, I think, a very straightforward win there.
Yeah, nicely
and very impressive. And we continue to see Hunter doing well. Maybe it is just the pick for this week, especially. We'll be right back with game number 2 between Surrender and SamuelTsao. Don't go anywhere.
Here comes the boom! Somebody order a bomb?
No. No. No.
We're gonna have some fun! Magic!
Here comes the thing.
This should be interesting.
Your will is no longer... Magic!
Okay then.
Need a hand, Explorer?
You'll find me wherever the action is!
Onward to adventure!
Magic!
Welcome back. We are on match number 4 of the day, of 5 in total, before we get off with a light Sunday. I think Americas are on the 6 match Sunday for those guys. But anyway, we have Surrender going into game number 2 versus SamuelTsao, currently leading 1-0, and it's going to be Priest versus Warlock. And you guys probably wouldn't have heard this because our mics get muted during the break. But Derek asked me a very important question. does Zoo just suck? Was the was the question he asked me in the break after the previous game. I'm not. That wasn't particularly aimed at SamuelTsao. It's just aimed at exactly the deck.
Just Zoo. Yeah.
And my question is, how much does it suck versus Priest?
Well, again, it's one of those things that always feels the case with Zoo, where I'm just saying it's not really about how the Zoo draws quite so much, it's about how the opponent draws, because the problem I feel like with Zoo at the moment is it doesn't really have an unbeatable draw. Like, there's no sequence of cards it can get, apart from in specific matchups. Like against Druid, if you get coin double Flame Imp, you're going to win that game. Against Priest, you know, if Priest gets...
That looks unbeatable to me, Dara. 2 vultures, cards OP.
If Priest gets Cleric, Tolvir, Circle of Healing...
I think you could have stopped at Cleric, but yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Whatever it is, they have unbeatable hands.
Yes.
They literally cannot lose the game if they draw it.
Well, for me, I think it's further sort of blown up in the fact that SamuelTsao isn't playing eggs in his list. And for me, at least Serpent Egg, it's good. It's a great Grim Rally target. If you're playing Abusive Sergeants, it's a great buff target. You know, I don't know. I feel like the eggs are so good in the deck, and it makes boards kind of weird. They're very buffable with lackeys. I don't know. I see no good reason to not play eggs, and I feel like that makes you have a very vanilla deck, right? If look, I play a minion, look at its stats, that's the minion. Outside of exactly Vulture, right? Like, that's literally the deck, and I don't think Zoo is a style or currently a deck that's good enough to do that. You need something a bit busted. Like, look, here's an egg. It's a great target for Grim Rally, so I don't lose another minion space on the board. Or here's an egg I can buff and just be resistant to AoE, for example, brawls and removal like that. I think it's just they have to trick in some way, and very similar. We saw the early match today, where it was like kill an egg early on, and then you also get a Nefset Thrasher. Like, it was just an egg into Thrasher into kill the egg, and you're like, whoa, this is actually like, ooh, this is a board out of nowhere. Whereas SamuelTsao does not have the ability to do that. Instead, he has a magic carpet, and I'm not ready to go to a whole new world just yet with this deck.
And this feeds into a couple of complaints I have with SamuelTsao. Is number one, I think he should be playing Surrender's lineup because they're identical. Ignoring the card-for-card switches, but in terms of archetypes, they're identical. SamuelTsao has Surrender has Priest instead of Zoo, a straight switch out. And I think if SamuelTsao is trying to go for like a target on Druid, Highlander Hunter does that well, okay. But Priest does that best. Why are you bringing Zoo instead of Priest? Because Priest is just a better all-around archetype.
It really is just my level 1 thing of this week, is if you're not bringing Priest, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And however silly that sounds, I believe that to be true. And I think more people would agree with me for once than wouldn't.
Right. It's the most popular archetype in both Americas and EU. But again,
probably got one of the highest win rates as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But
well,
anyway,
it's probably got one of the highest ban rates, more like, or shield rates, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got the highest rates.
Yeah.
And it's not any kind of loan or credit card, so it's actually a good thing.
So I think he was very, very hesitant to go for the coin-powered shield because I imagine by passing turn 1, he was very, very clearly setting up for 2-drop coin Amit as much as possible, which he still very much wanted to do here, I think. Which kind of does make me wonder why he didn't.
Is he eyeing up the snowball potential of this?
Yeah, maybe.
Of just maybe go into Divine Spirit in a fire and say, beat my 10-10 Zoo?
And then, of course, he's got, you know, if that doesn't work, Light Warden Hero Power is okay. But I don't know. I kind of wanted to see a slightly more explosive approach to the matchup.
And also, actually, forgive me, take that back. He wouldn't have had the Inner Fire at the point, actually. He would have just had Divine Spirit, because he drew, didn't he, with the Powered Shield. Apologies. That was me being a bit silly. Now SamuelTsao gets to go, you know, like his hands full of lackeys, does have a magic carpet, and most importantly, this Spirit Bomb, which is good. And I feel like this...
It's a disaster for Surrender.
Yeah, the Zoo approach of dealing a lot of damage to itself, I feel against Priest is the least punished, because Priest either has 100 damage or it has nothing, depending on, you know, in most circumstances, which means that Spirit Bomb's fine, Nefset Thrasher's fine. You don't lose to Priest unless you allow them to have a board, and if you play stuff like that, you're not allowing them to have the board. Oh, 1 turn too late.
How so?
Could have used Spirit Bomb and Crystallizer. Not this turn, of course, but I just meant in general. Could have kept it. Joking, of course. Maybe just, I kind of like Magic Carpet right now. Just get it on the board.
Huh. Yeah, I guess you do want to be able to answer Amit or just anything that comes down as consistently as possible. But I think due to the fact that Magic Carpet could be used for immediate benefit on the turn you play it, like he doesn't need to set it up.
I suppose so.
And this puts the most attack on board. Like next turn, if we were to see Carpet, Lackey, I suppose Faceless Lackey plus Crystallizer, that's a 3-drop, 2 rushes.
I wonder if Surrender ever shows respect to this Vulture. Yeah, I was going to say, just answer it, because it's not like, oh, do they have a self-damage thing? Yes, it's called a hero power. You know, like, he's going to press that button at minimum next turn.
Of course they do, Surrender, you blooming idiot.
Yeah. Something so silly, Surrender. Second Spirit Bomb, though, for SamuelTsao. Wow, if that Vulture was not silenced. Spirit Bomb, Crystallizer, hero power. Haha.
Would have been Vulture City.
So many possibilities.
Just not going to get the most mind-blowing activations with this Carpet, because the summoned minions don't get any kind of buff.
Of course, yeah.
Regardless.
I think just being able to punch through this is huge, though, for SamuelTsau's gameplay. Because
the Spirit Bomb's a big deal, isn't it?
it's a very, very big deal, yeah. Because as we can see, of course, if he hadn't been able to clear through this, he would have been just game over to Divine Spirit in a fire.
This is pretty solid, though, in the fact that, yes, it's not great for Surrender that it can be cleared, but it does kill most of the minions, which means that Surrender might be able to go Acolyte, and then wait, and then go Hammer, Divine Spirit, 1-drop, 1-drop.
Yeah.
And then just have that one turn of, okay, Acolyte, Divine Spirit, let's go.
So, well, I mean, I'm looking at if it's Amit plus Light Warden on this turn, which sets up for, of course, 14 health on the board.
Only one can be killed.
7, 8. Yeah, only one can be killed, but one can be damaged, and I mean, very possibly 2 can be killed if there's enough 1-drops for SamuelTsao.
You know there's a Lackey, but you're really expecting, like, literally 3 1-drops to 4 1-drops from the tap?
I don't know. Is it worth going that all in? You see,
I mean, he just wins if one lives. With a reasonable sum of health, because you just go Divine Spirit, and Fire go.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to fit the heal in on the next turn, so it would have to be 6 health it survives at to win on the spot. Because 22 health, unless we see a tap from SamuelTsao, which actually we probably would see a tap, which would mean...
It's not unlikely.
Yeah, which would mean 5 health or more on one of the minions.
So Surrender's got 2 routes, right? Yeah. Acolyte and hold out for a long-term plan, or press the button, put the foot down, any other, phrases you want to use to go all in.
Pedal to the metal. Amit to the board. And he's going for it.
Okay, well, this game got very simple very quick as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Does SamuelTsao give that much respect to double Divine... See, if he kills one, it literally has to be double Divine Spirit in a fire, doesn't it?
Yes. Or like double health buff, but pretty much.
Yeah. Do you give that much respect though, versus losing your board?
I mean, I think he can run in everything anyway, right? You have to kill the Amit, and then you may as well just damage the Light Warden with your minions. I think, at least. And I think that's the play that SamuelTsao will make.
Gonna get the Evolve. This Evolve could be huge, actually. If it's a taunt.
Another Leroy.
Lethal.
Yeah. Not the worst.
Yeah, I mean...
He's got his own Amit.
Would I lean towards good? Maybe? I don't know. Just because the high health is actually pretty reasonable, that's the thing.
Trade. If he doesn't attack both of these in, SamuelTsao dies.
He can attack just the 2-2, right? Oh no, because he's
still dead. He's still dead.
Oh! Circle healing? Nope.
Second in the fire. Lethal.
You can
just
get that attack twice.
Yeah, the second one gives win for you, fun fact.
Imagine if it did. Because no one's ever double fired the minion.
So he can't do anything cheesy with a hero power to give plus attack, right? it just doesn't work.
It's never higher than
yeah,
now.
No. So obviously he could still just go for a 16-16 punch face and say that probably wins the game.
I'm with you on that plan. Everything else sucks.
Nothing
sticks on board, and he's not got a Psycho Palm.
Right.
So don't try. You can't. If he had Pyro, we could start talking about Acolyte Pyro in a fire this turn, draw a card, see what happens, do something to the board. He doesn't know, and I think honestly, if you don't, then this deck is good enough to just say, I'm gonna make a big dude. If you don't kill it, you're dead. And also remember, SamuelTsau's attack with the Nephset hurts it. So it puts him to what, 1?
True, yeah.
And he can't tap. So I like it. Yep. Just go in. I think this is just correct and just shows a solid understanding of how to play the deck.
I agree. He makes pretty much the only play available to him. I guess
boxes.
The only consideration there was whether you inner fire the 2-1 just to... Because if this doesn't work, the game ends. But now, can SamuelTsao actually clear?
Yes.
He can clear it off.
Wait, no, he can't, right? Because he can't clear it off and kill the 2 whelps, and the attack puts him to 1.
You're
he needs
right.
the Leroy.
What?
GG. Nephset
Are you right?
Thrasher strikes
are
again.
you right?
Well, he has to attack with everything, correct?
So
7.
Right, so if he goes Leroy plus Nephset, that's 11 damage. 12 damage, sorry.
Right.
And then 3 is 15. No, you're right.
He leaves at least 1
At
whelp
least
up, I
one,
think, which means, and he gets put to 1 health when it attacks. Check. Mate.
I think you're right, unless he taps and finds something, but then obviously he can't attack with the Thrasher at all. And he doesn't have any healing in the deck.
What? How many times is Warlock going to suffer from just its own self-damage?
Again, yeah.
At least play a minion that... Play that bat thing, that if you hurt yourself, you gain more minions. Oh, does it ever work like this? It doesn't, right? He always has to attack with the Thrasher.
There's always one left.
And there's not enough attacks left because of his mana restricted because he can't play Crystallizer. Oh, it's going to be game.
What a
Surrender
game!
Takes the series 2-0 over SamuelTsao, goes to 5-3. and Surrender's been doing so well week on week for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Again, it's a shame we won't be able to interview him because he's away visiting family for Korean holiday. But I'm looking forward to hopefully interviewing him next week because he's done so well. And again, I feel it's just more of just this solid play, like good submission. The priest is there. The priest isn't for SamuelTsao. SamuelTsao's been playing some decent Zoo. You know, I think he's been playing well. But again, I just draw it all the way back to if you're not submitting priest, even if you don't like the deck, it is, in my opinion, too good to not play.
And I think for SamuelTsao, submitting priest is a symptom of a greater problem, which is inflexibility with his lineups. We're just seeing, we saw it last season when he was submitting decks week in, week out that just felt underpowered, is that, to me, I think he is clearly a strong Hearthstone player. When he's playing at his best, he's very, very strong. But he's holding himself back by not submitting the right decks and by going for the same thing week in, week out. And I think if he is able to shake that up, make sure he puts in the testing, finds the best possible lineup, which I don't think he has this week, then he'll be in really good shape.
Yeah, but really, really solid play from Surrender. And of course, again, it's just these Zoo lists. Maybe Zoo's just not the thing, or maybe it needs to be built differently. Maybe it needs to be more Zoolander style, or maybe there's some...
Who knows?
Either, I say Zoo, it's like Plot Twist Mechathune Warlock, or just some kind of more mid-range list. Maybe you just don't play Thrashers, however silly that sounds.
I'm not sure.
Maybe not. But anyway, what we do know is we've got one more match for the day, and it's going to be